In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Been looking for a quality brand of CBD oil and didn't know where to turn? Let me introduce you to Botan CBD. Go to botancbd.com, that's BOTAN CBD.com, and you'll see a full line of CBD oil products. The benefits of CBD oil are plentiful, including pain relief, anti-inflammation, mental clarity and focus, stress and anxiety reliever, and the list goes on. I've been using Botan CBD oil on my sciatica pain, and it makes it disappear. You can rub it on the body or take it orally, and you can trust that Botan CBD is the highest quality CBD oil on the market. They are a pharmaceutical-grade organic CBD, small batch, and handcrafted for you. Head on over to botancbd.com and use the code Jimmy at checkout for 15% off your first order. Live life well. Botan CBD.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. Here's how the fun begins. You go follow me over on Instagram. That's where we begin this show. We do this a couple of times a day over on Instagram, so go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like Calamity Tam and Miss Pris and Jen Roast and Ashton and Angela, Keto Neogenesis, Bullock and 28. You see, everybody who's anybody is here on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the we're also live over here on Facebook, by the way. Thank you to all my Facebook Livers for joining in on this episode, the simulcast here on Facebook Live. Thank you for being here. If you missed the live, though, you can watch it on replay on Instagram for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it does disappear. So we put all the past episodes up on YouTube. So go type in a keyword search Jimmy Rants on YouTube. You will find the show. Also, youtube.com/livinglowcarbman. Finally, the best of the best moments of this year's show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcast as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is a positive one. I've been doing a lot of stories lately about some negativity that's happening in the nutritional health world, things happening in the food space, some of the behind the scenes things that are going on that are making keto and real food and red meat and all of the goodness that is a ketogenic diet look bad. Well, today we're going to flip the script, because today I've got a story to share with you that is truly, truly exciting. And it's exciting because there's a lot of people who think this is an inevitable disease that can't get improved, and you can only manage it with medication. So that condition I'm referring to is schizophrenia. Do you have somebody in your life who deals with schizophrenia? It's considered kind of an old age disease, but it can hit people of any age, actually. And for the longest time, they have treated this condition with drugs, heavily drugged patients, and that's how they dealt with it. Very little has been done up until now looking at the nutritional component of this disease of chronic schizophrenia. But what I want to talk about here today is there is a brand new study, you guys. You're going to love hearing about this one. The brand new study that shows that a low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic diet has been found, this is no lie, it's been found to put chronic schizophrenia into complete remission. So if you know people in your life who deal with schizophrenia, if you have people that you are in love with, you have family members and that kind of thing, that you want to try to figure out a way to get them to come back to life again and they have schizophrenia, check this study out. The headline says, chronic schizophrenia put into remission without medications. And I love that cute little old lady they put there on the front cover. She's adorable. New research suggests ketogenic diet may play a role in treating schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is usually a chronic, devastating disorder that causes tremendous suffering. It ruins lives. Even with all the best treatments available, all the symptoms and the suffering often continue. An article published in the April 6th, 2019, this literally just happened about a week and a half ago, in the medical journal Schizophrenia Research, they described 2 patients who had long-standing schizophrenia who experienced complete remission of symptoms using the ketogenic diet. And of course, they're referring to the long-standing evidence-based treatment for epilepsy version of the ketogenic diet. So this isn't just plain old keto. This is the hardcore therapeutic, in research circles, it's referred to as the ketogenic diet. It tends to be somewhere around a 90% fat diet, very minimal carbohydrate, and then the rest protein. So that's what they used. Of particular interest, both of these patients, you guys, were able to stop all of their antipsychotic medications and have remained in remission for years. This is diet we're talking about here. This is groundbreaking. If we could get the mainstream medical establishment to acknowledge the nutritional component in disease and the nutritional component of healing any disease that's related to the metabolism, and obviously since these patients with schizophrenia in this study saw dramatic change simply by a diet change, that should show you the power of food on your body. And it should show you the power of the bad food on your body. How many patients are dealing with this condition of schizophrenia, thinking it's just a disease of old age, thinking it just happened, it was a genetic thing, when in fact it could be directly related to the foods that they put in their mouth. If you're just joining us, we're talking about a brand new study that has found 2 patients use the keto diet to get into complete remission from their chronic schizophrenia. This is really exciting stuff, you guys. Although we need more evidence, this is extraordinarily hopeful news for those who deal with this disorder and for the mental health professionals who are treating them. If I was a mental health professional, I would want to know about the ketogenic diet abundantly, because it seems like all of the neurodegenerative types of diseases and mood disorders and a lot of kind of things of the brain seem to get better, markedly better, when they go on a well-formulated, low-carb, moderate protein, very high-fat ketogenic diet. And if I was in that profession and treating patients with these kind of conditions, what is the harm in using a real foods-based diet like a ketogenic diet to try to help these patients? Does it mean all of those patients will see the benefits that these 2 patients in this study did? Probably not. But if a certain percentage of them did, isn't it worth it? There's no downside to it. They're not going to be harmed by eating real whole foods, not in the least. Schizophrenia affects 1% of the population. That seems small, but 1% of 330 million people? That's how many people are in the United States of America. 1% of 330 million. That's 3.3 million people dealing with schizophrenia. That's a huge chunk of people, right? Its close cousin is bipolar disorder. It affects about 2 to 5% of the population. Tens of millions of people all are suffering from these conditions. Symptoms include hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thought, and speech patterns. Hallucinations are when people see things or hear things that aren't there. Delusions are thoughts that aren't true, such as paranoid beliefs. Many people describe all of these psychotic symptoms as, quote, being out of touch with reality, end quote. People diagnosed with schizophrenia may also ignore their hygiene, avoid being around people, and have a general lack of motivation. I know people that describes them, but they don't have schizophrenia or bipolar. Just kidding. That was an aside. The illness affects most areas of life and can severely impair people at school, work, and in their relationships. So all of the treatment options up until now for schizophrenia and bipolar and all of these other kind of mental health diseases, unfortunately revolve around antipsychotic medications. And although they are known to help, unfortunately, they often yield very poor results. There was a 3-year study that tracked 6,000 adults diagnosed with schizophrenia, and all the patients were treated at academic medical centers, and all of them took antipsychotic medications. The study tracked symptom relief, quality of life, and ability to function. Only 4% of those 6,000 people, which is 240 patients, achieved full relief from the illness on all 3 of those tracking measures. So they needed a new approach. And that new approach, you guys, is nutrition. And again, if you're just joining us, the ketogenic diet is on the map right now in the research world for schizophrenia. There's a case study with 2 different patients who saw a complete remission of all of their symptoms of chronic schizophrenia simply by going on a ketogenic diet. Exciting stuff. So no one knows for sure what causes schizophrenia. Most clinicians and researchers think that it involves a chemical imbalance. This refers to the neurotransmitters that are in the brain, those chemicals that send messages from one brain cell to the other. This theory has largely focused on excess activity of the neurotransmitter. You've probably heard of it, called dopamine, primarily because all antipsychotic medications will block the dopamine receptors. While there is a lot of evidence to support this theory, current treatments designed around it have also come up short. The treatments appear to only affect some of the symptoms, but not all of them, and they don't change the course of the illness itself. In other words, even the best medications that are giving the most relief right now still aren't actually healing the disease. And if we're looking to heal disease and a drug isn't providing that answer, that's when nutrition can come into play, which we'll learn about here in a second. Other researchers think of schizophrenia as a neurodegenerative disorder. So that means a disease of the brain. There is evidence that the brains of people with schizophrenia are different than other people's brains and that they can change over time. Some of those changes observed include shrinking of the brain regions, changes in the connections between the different brain regions as well. However, emerging evidence suggests something else might be behind schizophrenia. Check this out, guys. Attention has been turned to bioenergetics. Stick with me now. I know there's a lot of kind of fancy schmancy words in here, but this is really, really important, and it explains why the ketogenic diet helped these 2 patients in this study. Bioenergetics is energy production in the brain cells. It is well known people with schizophrenia are 3 times more likely to develop diabetes. Did you realize that? Schizophrenia was related to a blood sugar and insulin connection, and that you're 3 times more likely to develop diabetes if you have schizophrenia? A common debate in the field is whether the antipsychotic medications, which are known to cause weight gain and diabetes, are to blame. Recent research suggests that this is not the entire explanation. Even those people with newly diagnosed schizophrenia already appear to have insulin resistance. So it seems like there is an insulin resistance connection to schizophrenia. And if there's an insulin resistance connection, that might explain why a ketogenic diet is helping to improve this condition. Because if it's another extension of insulin resistance, as so many of the chronic health issues we deal with today are, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and now schizophrenia, they're all metabolic diseases that stem from insulin resistance. This is mind-blowing stuff because we always have treated all of these different conditions as different diseases. Can you imagine the revolution that would take place in the medical profession if they recognized insulin resistance as the primary disease metabolically and treated the insulin resistance? And of course, we know a ketogenic diet works in that realm in spades. Even though most don't yet have diabetes, they do have the insulin resistance who are diagnosed with schizophrenia. This means their brains may not be getting enough energy from glucose. And that is why a ketogenic diet could be an amazing therapy, because guess what? When there is a lack of glucose in the body, is there another fuel source? I've heard of it somewhere before. Another fuel source instead. Oh yeah, ketones can also fuel the brain. And that's why they're seeing in this study that these patients got better. When the glucose wasn't able to fuel the brain properly, they put them on ketogenic diet, and then suddenly those ketones flood their brain and they're awake again and they're back and they get in a complete remission. Other brain studies have found metabolic abnormalities, such as a higher level of oxidative stress and inflammation, which we know there is no chronic disease without inflammation. So, and yet again, ketogenic, an anti-inflammatory diet. So why does keto help schizophrenia? That's what they're asking in this article. The medical version of the ketogenic diet is high fat, low carb, moderate protein. It has been proven to work for epilepsy. Studies have shown that 50% of children with epilepsy who do not respond to medications experience significant reductions in the frequency and severity of their seizures when they go keto. Some of them even become completely seizure-free. Using epilepsy treatments in psychiatry is not new. Anticonvulsant medications are often used to treat psychiatric disorders. And there's a whole list of all those antipsychotic medications that are put out there. And it's not unreasonable to think that a proven anticonvulsant dietary intervention may also help people with psychiatric symptoms. So this is good stuff, you guys. Interestingly, the effects of the ketogenic diet on the brain have been studied for decades. Decades, you guys. Neurologists have been trying to figure out why keto works so well in controlling seizures in those with epilepsy. The diet is known to produce ketones, which are used as a fuel source in place of glucose. This may also help to provide fuel to insulin-resistant brain cells. The diet is also known to affect a number of neurotransmitters and ion channels in the brain, improve your metabolism, and decrease inflammation. All positive things in your health. So, there is now existing science to support why this helps with schizophrenia. So let's learn about those two patients that solved their schizophrenia, chronic schizophrenia, go into complete remission and stay in remission for years. The first patient documented in Schizophrenia Research is a woman, 82 years old, had chronic paranoid schizophrenia since she was 17 years old. So from 17, and she's now 82, she dealt with this issue for decades. Decades. More than 50 years she went through paranoia, disorganized speech, visual and auditory hallucinations. By the time she turned 70, she was already suicidal, hospitalized repeatedly for psychosis and suicide attempts. She's been treated with over 10 different antipsychotic and mood stabilizing medications, including regular antipsychotic injections. None of them helped her with her symptoms. She was unable to care for herself. She had a court-appointed guardian and home health service. This lady was in bad shape. At the age of 70, she weighed 330 pounds, went to a medical weight loss clinic, and went on the ketogenic diet. Within 2 weeks of starting the diet, she noticed a noticeable reduction, not only in her weight, but also the psychotic symptoms. Within several months, she started to feel so much better, she was able to stop taking all of her psychotic medications while remaining on the ketogenic diet. Over time, she saw her mood stabilize. All of the hallucinations and paranoia went completely away. She was no longer suicidal, and amazing. And here it is now, 12 years later, she's down 150 pounds, is still eating the ketogenic diet. She's still on no medications and is still symptom free. She was 17 years old when she was diagnosed with this. And to this day, she dealt with that for a half century. To this day, all these years later, after starting keto, she's no longer dealing with schizophrenia. Can you imagine? Can you imagine her family? What in the world kind of medication did this doctor put you on? A bacon and eggs, an avocado, steak, non-starchy vegetables, avocado oil, olive oil. How cool is this? Nutrition is the best medicine. Who knew? Who knew? She regained her independence, no longer needed the guardian or the home healthcare team. When I recently spoke with her, the person that wrote this article, she recalled her decades of suffering and hopelessness and said that since starting on the ketogenic diet, she now has found a new life and is so happy to be alive. Guys, I don't know about you, but that gives me chills. Reading about a woman who dealt with a half a century of psychotic disorder and dealing with schizophrenia. And suddenly all she did was change her diet. And on this diet, she came completely off of all the medications and completely reversed everything about this schizophrenia. That's unbelievable to me. So let's learn about the second patient. The second patient, 39-year-old woman, suffered from depression, anxiety, anorexia, hallucinations, and paranoia since she was a teenager. As patients sometimes do, she concealed her psychotic symptoms when she was initially treated for depression and anorexia. When she finally reported the psychotic symptoms when she was in her late 20s, she was then diagnosed as having schizophrenia. Over the next decade, she was treated with 7 different antipsychotic medications, including the gold standard antipsychotic called clozapine, along with antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. She still had symptoms. She was having chronic gastrointestinal problems, so she went to see a doctor who recommended she go keto. Nothing was working before she went keto. So she started going keto. She started noticing improvement of her symptoms and being frustrated with all of the medications. She just suddenly stopped all 14 meds that she was taking. Cold turkey. Came completely off of all 14 of them all at the same time. And in the hospital, she was remedicated with an injectable that had not worked before. And she then continued to go on the ketogenic diet and stay on the ketogenic diet. Within a month, she was on this injectable medication along with keto. She reported having complete remission of her psychotic symptoms for the first time since she was 14 years old. So 20 years. 20 years she dealt with this. Over the following years, she slowly got off of the medication and still remained free of psychotic symptoms. She also lost 70 pounds on the ketogenic diet. And she did have the eating disorder, anorexia, throw a monkey wrench in it. It did make her anorexia come back. So she regained 30 pounds of that, but still at a very healthy weight. 5 years after starting keto, she was off of all of the antipsychotic medications, stays keto today, and is free of all of the psychotic symptoms. She has since finished graduate school and is now working full time. Pretty darn cool, right? While inspiring, these two case reports are joining a growing body of evidence that supports the use of the ketogenic diet in the treatment of schizophrenia. I wrote about this in my book, Keto Clarity, that schizophrenia is one of these emerging areas of research. I wish they would ramp up the kind of studies that looks at a huge population of people dealing with this disease. Because right now we got a bunch of case studies. I got one here from 1965, another one from 2017, another one that was in Ecuador. They also show the mice studies. It seems to me we have enough case studies to actually do a randomized controlled trial. And we've got enough people in the millions that are dealing with schizophrenia. We have tens of millions dealing with bipolar disorder. I think it's time that we call for real evidence from a randomized controlled clinical trial that takes all of these case studies as proof of concept. We know people are getting better. And so if we know that from the case studies, we need to demand better research looking into this disease. Because how many of you you've had your grandma, a grandpa, an uncle, an aunt, somebody in your family has dealt with schizophrenia, and they've been put on all of these antipsychotic medications. And of course, there's a stigma attached to this. Oh, they're just gone crazy. They haven't gone crazy. Their metabolism isn't working right. And when you put them on a well-formulated, low-carb, moderate protein, high-fat, ketogenic diet with mostly real whole foods, and you nourish them properly, the schizophrenia goes into remission. This should be eye-opening stuff. So what are the implications of this? The two women that were in the Schizophrenia Research article who are now in complete remission probably do not care why the diet worked. No, they're just very grateful that it worked. They don't care about the mechanism. They'll leave it to the scientists to worry about the mechanism. But the fact is, it worked, and it gave them benefit. The proof is in the pudding for them. But we doctors like to know more about how and why things work and better understand how many people might respond to this treatment. Clearly, we need more research. However, make no mistake, all of these research findings, from the basic science of schizophrenia to the case reports and all the studies that are mentioned, it opens up a new field of inquiry, one that is based on entirely novel mechanisms of action and a whole new way of understanding this disease called schizophrenia. I, for one, am hopeful for the millions of people that are suffering. The sooner we offer them more effective treatments, the better. So, the people in your life that deal with schizophrenia, should they try keto? He offers up some advice. If you or someone you love has schizophrenia or any serious disorder and you're considering using the ketogenic diet as a treatment, I strongly recommend you consult with a healthcare professional before trying it. Why? Because mental illness is serious as a disorder, and sometimes it can be dangerous. The medical version of the ketogenic diet does have some risks and side effects. You should have accurate information, help, and medical supervision to implement this treatment in a safe and effective way. All of the patients described in all of the studies were treated by physicians while attempting the ketogenic diet. So I will add that try to find you a keto doctor. Try to find you a functional medicine practitioner. Try to find someone who understands the mechanism of a ketogenic approach. We see this in cancer when patients want to try a ketogenic approach to deal with cancer and the oncologist about loses their mind because they don't believe in it. I bet there's a bunch of mental health doctors who are in that same kind of mentality. Oh, that's that keto thing, and we don't really have enough research, so I'm going to discourage you. And you sit there and you're stuck on medications that don't work for the rest of your life. So make sure you find somebody that can actually work with you. By the way, the gentleman who wrote this, Dr. Chris Palmer is his name. He is a medical psychiatrist out of Harvard. And I had him on the Living La Vida Low Carb show recently, a few days ago, to interview him about his research. Oh my goodness, you guys. This guy is amazing. I cannot wait to share my 70-minute interview. I don't usually go that long on the Living La Vida Low Carb show, but he was so compelling that I just had to keep talking to him. So that'll be coming up really soon on the Living La Vida Low Carb show, llvlc.com. But in the meantime, I had to show this new evidence, this new study. This is exciting. If you are a fan of a low-carb ketogenic diet, this should make you leap from the mountaintops and scream it. Oh my goodness, look at the power that nutrition has on the body. Unless anyone doesn't believe it, go look in the medical literature. It is ripe with nutritional changes having such a profound impact. And forever, we've looked at nutrition as weight loss and a weight loss modality only. I think we now realize nutrition, either good nutrition or bad nutrition plays a profound impact on disease. Profound. You eat a crappy carbage diet, don't be surprised if you get diabetes. You eat a crappy carbage diet, don't be surprised if you have a heart attack and get heart disease. If you eat a crappy carbage diet, don't be surprised if schizophrenia might be in your future. Alzheimer's disease, cancer. Shall I go on? We know that if you clean up that diet and shift it over to one that is real foods based, and it doesn't even have to be full-on keto, but for some of us, ketogenic has been a lifesaver. It has helped us manage this condition of insulin resistance, which I talked about a little bit earlier. And lest we forget, insulin resistance is the main disease behind all of these things. And a ketogenic diet helps that better than any other diet out there. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. We're going to go to Instagram Live first. We'll come over here to Facebook Live here in just a moment. Thanks for being here on this episode of Jimmy Rants. Beth says a family member has schizophrenia and is in prison for life. Unfortunately, his grandchildren are being fed a steady diet of Pop-Tarts and fast food and are frustrated with behavior issues. Yeah, not surprised. They spew hate about him and due to his sins, but they don't take care of themselves. Well, they'll follow his footsteps, Beth, if that's true. Hello, Jody from Australia. Thanks for being here. Sounds like something that could help in Washington, D.C. Bullock in 2018. Holly Jane, I believe doctors who care about helping others more than their pockets will want to check out the health benefits of keto. Yeah, there's so many, especially with this brain health stuff. I'm surprised we haven't seen a revolution in the mental health field with all the things that we know a ketogenic diet helps with in brain health and mood regulation and all the things with this noggin up here that keto helps with. But if doctors help others, more people will go to them and their pockets and conscience will benefit, says Holly Jane. Vegans do keto until you get healthy, says Alberto. Then go back to the diet that almost killed you and save the animals. Alberto. I am anxiety free now thanks to keto, says Leslie. Excellent. I'm telling you, my dad is like he jumped into the swimming pool from the movie Cocoon. It's like night and day, says Alicia. That's awesome. That's so awesome that you've seen an awakening, so to speak. Grandma Does Keto says, this is wonderful. It truly is. The people around me don't understand my keto lifestyle. They call my eating insane. I wish there was a way to bring the benefits of keto to more people. Well, Leslie, they have to be ready for it. And I've talked about this quite a bit on Jimmy Rants, but we can't force people to go keto unless they're ready to go keto. And family members are the hardest. And I've talked about this quite a bit before. My brother Kevin, who died at 41, he didn't listen. I was his snotty-nosed little brother, and now he's gone. Keto Mac, it would seem that with many neurological issues involving an energy crisis in the brain, ketones provide the alternative fuel source, maybe a connection to Amy Berger's Alzheimer's treatment. Yes, same pathway, Mac. Exactly. I was at a holistic dentist today, says Alberto, for the removal of my mercury amalgams. The doctor saw my tooth and asked me what I eat. I told him keto, carnivore, and he recommended that I go vegan. Oh my gosh. Was there something wrong with your teeth, Alberto, that he thought you needed to go vegan? Of course, sometimes doctors, they can't help themselves. D-Bay says, don't be surprised you haven't seen the diet adopted in the mental health field profit anyone. Yeah, there's a lot of medications, antipsychotics. The two people in these stories, one of them was taking about 20 prescriptions. The other one was taking 14 prescriptions. So you may be onto something there. But I'm thinking those doctors that truly want to see their patients get better. They're the ones that want to know about things that will actually make them better. He said he recommended vegan because they were fine for your age. Got it. Alicia says, I just today developed a sugar-free keto barbecue sauce at my restaurant, and it's going to help with the keto bug. Good. That's awesome. All right, let me pop over here to Facebook. Thank you guys for being here and watching this simulcast of Jimmy Rants. Welcome in, welcome in. All right, lots of people here. Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. Christy says, wow. Yeah, wow indeed. This is pretty amazing. Jessica wants to know if autism would fall in this area. I would think autism would see some benefit because it's the same kind of neurological pathway of a lot of these same diseases. It's a little bit controversial, autism, because there are certain autisms that aren't a metabolic condition and more genetic, but there are some autisms that do see improvement from a ketogenic diet. Val says, this is awesome. Just think of how many people that this could help. Exactly. And this is the thing. What is the harm of putting someone on keto? There's no harm that would come from someone trying real food. No harm whatsoever. And so what's it going to hurt? How is it going to harm anyone? Let them try it. It's real whole food, low carb, moderate protein, high fat, and see if they get a therapeutic response. Is there a stomach for it, though, in the medical profession, where a lot of the money that is made within the medical profession is predicated on pharmaceutical drugs? And so maybe there's not a will for a dietary answer except for those ethical doctors that are willing to give keto a go. And in these two case studies, there was not some mental health professional that put them on the ketogenic diet. They both wanted to lose weight. So they went to see a bariatric doctor, a weight loss doctor, and the weight loss doctor put them on keto. And they just happened, going on keto, not just lost weight, but they happened to improve their schizophrenia. What if this became the first option rather than the last resort? Why is nutrition considered the last resort? Well, no medications are really helping, so I guess we tried the ketogenic diet. To me, with all the side effects that come from medications, the medications should be the last resort. The nutrition is the first line of defense. Why is this not common sense? I'm a layperson. Why do I have to articulate the obvious? It's crazy. Jessica says, I truly believe in this. I pray that more research comes out about keto and mental illness. I'm not schizophrenic. I don't have schizophrenia, nor am I diagnosed as true bipolar, but I struggle with anxiety and panic disorder. And I have bipolar throughout my family. Clean keto has allowed me to be 100% prescription free and find my better self. I never thought that was possible. My brain is embraced in a loving hug and wrapped in a warm blanket. It's a freedom like no other. Jessica, I'm so proud of you, darling. That's awesome. And yes, that was long, but that's okay. I read it all because it was amazing. My grandson has bipolar. It's a struggle, only 24 years old. Sarah, keto, give it a go. And I'm going to give you a name to look up. Her name is Carrie Brown. Find her here on Facebook. Carrie also has had bipolar disease, and she used a ketogenic diet to help overcome. I had her on the Living La Vida Low Carb show maybe like 6 or 8 months ago. So go look up Carrie Brown, Carrie, last name Brown. This is amazing, says Nancy, to think that healthy eating can help with so many diseases. Yeah, Nancy, it's miraculous. And you talk about real life. That's what you talk about a lot in your work. This is real life. People, quality of life is impacted. Relationships and families impacted by mental health types of diseases like schizophrenia. And if we could give people hope and give people a chance to have a fighting chance to live a normal life, we should be doing that. Pam says drug companies don't get rich off keto. No, they do not. But IMHO, I don't give a crap. It's not about them. It's about people getting healthy. Sherry says the documentary The Magic Pill showed amazing changes in autistic children. Actually, it showed some amazing changes in several elements. Optimal health diet equals keto. Yes, Sherry. Thank you, Sherry. Good to see you here. The Magic Pill, amazing documentary over on Netflix if you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, the little girl in that story, the dramatic change that she exhibited just by eating real whole foods was pretty spectacular. Jessica says, I saw a video of a 13-year-old autistic boy who rode a bike for the first time after his mom put him on keto. It was so tear-jerking. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of those kind of stories, and it's really heartwarming for sure. Kimberly says, as someone who married into a bipolar family, I wish food was the first option. It should be. Maybe you'll be the one, Kimberly, that will be the agent of change there. I wish you well. Yes, Carrie Brown, the real Carrie Brown. Yes. So, hello there, Nev. I see my friend Nev just came in. So we're talking about a new study, Nev, that keto, in a case study of 2 different patients, and it was published in this journal, Schizophrenia Research, found that chronic schizophrenia, one of them dealt with it for a half century, the other one for 2 decades, went into complete remission. Complete remission with a low-carb, moderate-protein, high-fat ketogenic diet. And they came all off of their drugs. Unbelievable. And the power of nutrition, you guys, to play such a profound role in your health. If that doesn't motivate you to want to eat this way, whether you have schizophrenia or not, this should be your reason for cutting out the carbs, for moderating the protein, for eating more fat. Like Nev, eating a carnivore diet has played a profound impact on all the health stuff you've had to deal with in your life. And for so many of us, we're doing carbohydrate restriction with a specific task in mind, and it goes so much further than weight loss. Weight loss is cool, but to me, the health changes to be able to not have schizophrenia after a half a century. That poor lady. I'm looking at her story again and going, oh my gosh, 50 years she dealt with paranoia, disordered speech, visual and auditory hallucinations. She was suicidal by the age of 70, and now she's 82, completely in remission from schizophrenia because of diet. Diet. Guys, I can't get more excited about this kind of stuff because nutrition is changing lives. And hopefully on these Jimmy Rants, that's a common theme you see me get excited about a lot. And it's a reason why I come on here every single day. And I'm so excited to be able to share things with you on this format because it is so, so profound. Grandma Does Keto says it only took us 2,300 years or so to rediscover, oh yeah, real food is a healing mechanism. This is why I love you, Grandma Does Keto. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, if you enjoy the show, thanks for being here. I'm glad you enjoy the show. We try to give you good content here. JimmyRants.com. We start off on Instagram. We do a couple of live videos every single day. So go follow me on Instagram. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. We also simulcast live here on Facebook Live. Thank you guys for being here. Stick around Facebook Live for the after party. We always continue Jimmy Rants after the show over on Facebook. Nev says, Sean just posted about a woman who went into remission with MS out of the wheelchair doing squats. That's amazing. She's referring to Sean Stevenson from the Model Health Show, who helped Nev quite a bit with her own healing journey. That's awesome, Nev. Thanks for sharing. If you missed the live on Instagram, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it does disappear. After then, pop on over to YouTube. That's where we put all the past episodes of this show. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rant. Oh, Sean Baker, I'm sorry. It could have been Sean Stevenson. So Jimmy Rants is the keyword search. You can also go to youtube.com/LivinLowCarbMan. Finally, the best of the best moments of this year's show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So Instagram Live. Until next time, we'll see you then.